Dare I say that Predator 2 is better than the original. Better story, better characters. It explores various characters throughout an entire city rather than an isolated jungle, and it expands on the lore perfectly by explaining the Predator's abilities and history. Now, I know it's unusual for someone to think that this sequel is better, but here's a few reasons why.
There's your killer. Wonderful, isn't it? Pheromone signature left by his body. These are scent molecules.
So why can't we see him?
Defensive adaptations are astounding. It's somehow able to bend light.
Trophies.
Predator 2 gets a bad rep because it didn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. And I understand. It would have been nice to see him in the sequel, but his story was done, and he didn't really have a character arc anyway. It wasn't like Dutch changed during the movie. He was still the same guy at the end. So I never understood why people always felt that having Dutch return would have improved the sequel. So having a new hero for the sequel was fine. Besides, Danny Glover's Lieutenant Mike Harrigan is more three-dimensional. He has a more defined and close-knit bond with his crew.
My God damn it, this ain't your personal little war, you know?
Hey, you told me, Lieutenant, the only way you survive down here is because you're a team.
Whereas the Predator in the first movie is a by-the-numbers horror movie of sorts, killing the characters one by one like a slasher flick. This Predator in Part 2 wants a closer psychological bond with Harrigan. It chooses Harrigan from the outset because it sees that Harrigan has the aggression and balls it will take to give it a good fight. But this Predator goes even further and taunts Harrigan with Danny's necklace. Gun violence is the very first thing this movie shows us. It opens with a massive gang war against the police. All types of guns and explosions, and death is everywhere, cocaine. It's basically an extreme depiction of violence with guns as the primary force. Everyone who dies has a firearm, whether it's a good cop like Danny, or armed passengers on a train.
Get the hell away from me! I just did mine! Bigger than yours! Police! Nobody move!
The kid in the cemetery almost died, but the Predator discovered it was just a toy. Also, the female cop. She had a gun, but the Predator let her live because she was pregnant. Now, the only exception really is King Willie. He doesn't have a gun, only a sword. But that was because the Predator sought out King Willie to kill him on his own accord. It was a one-on-one fight of respect.
Foundation laid in the holy mountain.
Guns cannot kill the Predator. It doesn't matter how many gunshots it takes, it will always come back to life. Now, that isn't by accident, you know. It's symbolic to the theme. Only hand-to-hand combat will kill the Predator, not gunfire, never. If Harrigan killed it with gunfire, it would suggest that using guns is a justifiable means to an end. And that's the opposite of what the movie wants to suggest. So let's look at how the movie gets rid of firearms in the third act. The Predator's plasma gun gets damaged. He throws it away. The Predator smashes Harrigan's gun. Now that's a blatant reference to the movie's anti-gun theme, big time. Then, Harrigan's gun drops out of its holster when he's climbing down the building. From this point forward, Harrigan and the Predator must fight hand-to-hand or with knives. The Predator allows knives because the fight itself is more personal, more equal, and therefore more worthy of respect. This focus on guns isn't special because the first one also noted the same.
Don't! Leave it! He didn't kill you because you weren't armed. No sport.
However, it's the trophy gun at the end of Predator 2 that implies a more specific message. The Predator gives Harrigan the old gun as a reward. It's a gift as a form of respect for defeating the Predator without using a gun. And because it's an old gun, it's therefore meant for decoration only, not to use. It's a trophy from history, similar to the skulls of the various aliens on the wall. The message of the Predator isn't that it's against violence. On the contrary, the Predator species encourages violence as long as it's a one-on-one fighting without guns involved. The Predator sees honor and respect in one-on-one fighting. If someone runs away or shows cowardice when fighting the Predator, it will skin and hang that person upside down as a form of disrespect. It also implies that the Predator will eat a coward because the hanging upside down references cattle beef.
He comes here every 2 days to feed. Seems he has a taste for beef.
I didn't think he was vegetarian.
If someone has the balls to fight a Predator one-on-one and lose, it removes the skull and spine to keep as a trophy. It's a form of respect.
Let's dance!
On a side note, I would like to say that as much as I like Predator 2 over the first one, its third act is subpar because it's paced poorly. Dutch had to use his wits to defeat the Predator. He anticipated the Predator wouldn't follow him through the cave. He knew the Predator was smarter than that, so he planned ahead by having the tree stump drop to his left where he knew the Predator would stand. But Harrigan just waits until the Predator comes close and stabs him with the smart disc. Instead, the finale of Predator 2 trades clever wits for mythology expansion. I'm talking about the spaceship scene. Now we know how the Predators travel, and it explains the infrared images in the opening scene. But it's the trophy wall with the other skulls, most notably the Xenomorph skull, that impresses everyone. This scene is actually foreshadowed when Harrigan is looking in the taxidermy store window, and when we find out that there is more than one Predator, the story reveals how organized they are. Even though if you kill one, there are many more to take its place. The Predator lore expands even more with the giving of the gun from 1715. On the surface, it raises questions to the Predator's history and leaves room for more Predator story.